What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to Just Ballin', and today I'm going to do a fun tier list idea for you guys that I thought of. I'm going to be ranking all 30 NBA teams based on watchability current day, March 4th, 2025. So I have a bunch of tiers. We're gonna have the top tier, which is I'm locked in. I want to watch you almost every single night or most of your games throughout the rest of this year season. Enjoyable time. I feel like 95% of the time I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna leave pretty happy, enjoying that time watching that game or that team. Don't mind it. I mean, they may not be the first team that I'm choosing here to watch on a night, but you know what? If it's a good matchup, if there's a storyline that I want to watch with a player, they're gonna go there. Green tier, the next tier down, is I'm here for one or two guys. So I am not watching because I really want to watch this team play. I want to just kind of focus on a couple players that are maybe relevant right now. Next tier, not super pleasant. Like, I'll watch you, but most of the time I may leave a little bit disappointed if maybe the players that I'm also trying to watch don't really come through. And then the last tiers, I'm probably multitasking. So I may have you up on a screen. I may be kind of researching video ideas or coming up with like scripts and writing down notes and maybe watching two games. Maybe that's when I have a college game up as well. It's just, I'm probably not going to watch you solely locked in, nothing else going on for the rest of the year. So you guys can let me know where, like, if you agree or disagree with, but this is all subjective. This is what I would do, or this is my view on these teams right now. I'm not a fan of all 30 teams in a way that I'm a fan of the New York Knicks. Like, the Knicks are my childhood team. They're the team I'd like to see win the championship the most, but they're not the only team that I enjoy watching right now. And obviously injuries are going to have a big play in this. There's a team that may even be a playoff team right now, but I just don't really enjoy watching them because a lot of guys are hurt, and maybe it's some gross wins, or we can see kind of going forward where I'm going to put these, because I have really honestly no idea how I'm going to kind of come through with some of these. So next, like, I guess first up, we could just go in order here. We have the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks right now, I think they're probably, I'm here for one or two guys here. I think since Jalen Johnson went down with an injury, I'm watching Reece Shea. I'm usually coming away like always entertained with Trae Young, and then I'm watching Dyson Daniels. Obviously, I'm going to be tuned in to like what Onyeka Okongwu is doing, or maybe some of the bench guys like Karis LeVert. I mean, he had a great game winner against the Grizzlies the other night. I enjoyed watching him in that game. Terrence Mann looks like he's enjoying his time in Atlanta so far. But they're a team that I think would have been up a tier more had Jalen Johnson not go down with the season-ending injury. But I do enjoy watching Reece Shea, at least his development over the course of this year. Doesn't turn the ball over, has been a positive shooter for this team. Dyson Daniels as an all-defensive guy this year and kind of as a breakout star in that sense. And then Trae Young, he's gonna have some games where I don't enjoy watching him, and maybe it's gonna be a game where he's turning the ball over, his shots not falling. But I would say that's more likely, or it's more likely that he will actually come through as an entertaining piece for me than not. So yeah, I would say I'm here for about two or so guys when I'm watching the Atlanta Hawks. And it's kind of just the athletic wings that I enjoy watching right now. Boston, I think I'm usually locked in to the Boston Celtics. I don't say like I'm thrilled to watch like the Celtics take on like a Washington Wizards or a much inferior team, unless I'm gonna watch Peyton Pritchard take 20 shots, because I'm always coming away entertaining with that. But anytime the Celtics are playing like the Cavs, the Thunder, the Nuggets, so we got to see the Nuggets and the Cavs play Boston over the last few days, I'm usually locked in, and it just feels like a big game every single time with them, even with no Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, which could bump them down in a way. But honestly, I'm leaving, I'm locked in every single time. If I'm watching the Boston Celtics, it's usually a very competitive game with them. And I'm usually not left disappointed. Just watching Jaylen Brown, just watching Jason Tatum as a defender this year, as a playmaker. I enjoy watching Peyton Pritchard. I enjoy watching Derek White. And maybe there's not a ton of guys that I enjoy watching on the Boston Celtics as a whole, like super deep wise, but I'm usually locked in whenever I'm watching Boston. So they're up there at one. I mean, they're a finals contender. Next up, we have the Brooklyn Nets. I'm probably multitasking right now. I think I've come away with, I had to watch Killian Hayes on my screen the other day. I think I'm probably multitasking. This team has had their fair share of injuries right now. And even looking at their last game, which I could pull it up here, shout out to Jalen Wilson this year. They just recently got blown out by the Detroit Pistons. Their starting five was Cam Johnson, Keon Johnson, Killian Hayes, Zaire Williams, and Nick Claxton. Reese Beekman, shout out Virginia, Jalen Wilson, Tyree Smart, and Daron Sharp, Maxwell Lewis, all getting minutes in this game. We haven't seen Cam Thomas in quite some time. I didn't really think this hamstring was going to plague his whole year after a very good scoring start. But yeah, I'm probably multitasking when I'm watching the Nets. I was also keeping an eye on Cam Johnson and his play over the second half. But I'm really shocked he's in that. I think he's going to get traded in the offseason. But yeah, the Nets are going to be a lot more exciting to watch next year when they're at full strength. Maybe they do make a trade or two in the offseason. Maybe they do sign a couple guys because they're going to have loads of cap space, but they're also going to have like 4 first-round picks. And I love this 2025 draft class, so I'm going to be pretty locked into at least the start of next year's season for the Brooklyn Nets. Charlotte Hornets. Oh man. I think I'm probably multitasking as well. I was watching them play the Warriors last night because I'm just really enjoying watching Jimmy Butler, and it's cool to watch Steph go back to Charlotte. Yeah, like LaMelo hasn't been great as of late, and I wonder if he is nursing some injuries right now. They got Damian Baugh, Daquan Jeffries getting minutes. Tijon Salon does kind of look like maybe he is 2 years away from being 2 years away. I just don't enjoy watching Yusuf Nurkic. Seth Curry at this point in his career, I kind of know what he is. I'm still like trying to figure out what Nick Smith is as a player. I mean, the shots he's able to create right now are not the best looks in the world because he doesn't really have the best playmaking around him, and that's fine. I mean, Miles Bridges, like, he ends up becoming like the highest scorer on this team every night, and that's not really enjoyable for me, at least just in my personal subjective view. So, yeah, I mean, just with LaMelo struggling, and if you guys are watching the YouTube version rather than the podcast version, I have Basketball Reference up. You could see over their, what are they currently on? They're on a 7-game losing streak, and they lost by, so they beat the Lakers by 3, and then they were celebrating, and then they ended up losing by 14 to the Nuggets. They ended up losing by, 53 to the Blazers. I forgot about that. Then 42 to the Kings. Jesus. And then 36 to the Warriors. Then they lose by 7 to the Mavericks. 13 to the Washington Wizards, the worst team in the league. And then 18 to the Warriors. Yeah, I got to put them in. I'm probably multitasking. Chicago, you know what? I'm probably here for 1 or 2 guys. I'm here for basically Matas Buzelis, Kobe White. Outside of that, like, Josh Giddey has been fun, I would say. So I'm there for, like, I guess I'm going to change this. I'm here for a couple guys. I feel like 1 or 2 might not be that much. I'm here for a couple guys. So, yeah, Atlanta, Chicago, that's here for me. I'm enjoying watching Matas Buzelis. None of the guys they got back, I think, are worth tuning in for. Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, or Zach Collins of that trade. I mean, we get, like, maybe a Jalen or a Julian Phillips moment. Not really a Dalen Terry moment. Yeah, it's pretty much Dosunmu, Matas Buzelis, and Kobe White, and Josh Giddey as of late. Those are really the only guys that I enjoy watching on the Bulls right now for this version of the team and where they're at and what they're trying to accomplish in the Eastern Conference. Next up, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm locked in every single time. You can get a Cavalanche at any moment. They've had some great games as of late, some really entertaining ones. Like, that was cinema against the Boston Celtics, going down, what was it, like 23-5 or whatever it was, and then coming back, beating Boston on the road. And then that game against the Blazers was so much fun, in a game Donovan Mitchell didn't even play in. And they're just so much fun, so much green on their Basketball Reference in terms of wins. But it could be Garland, who I think has taken a step this year. Same with Evan Mobley. That Donovan Mitchell game against Boston, where he put up, what did he put up in that game? 41 points. Man, it's so much fun to watch this Cavs team. It's just DeAndre Hunter fitting like a glove on this team. Ty Jerome being one of the best storylines in the NBA this year. And I just think, like, Kenny Atkinson has done a phenomenal job. They're super enjoyable to watch. I'm pretty much locked in every time I'm watching the Cavs. The Dallas Mavericks, oh my God. I mean, I'm recording this on the same day that they've hit rock bottom. Kyrie Irving tore his ACL. He's out for the year. I have to put him in. I'm probably multitasking right now. I don't think I'm, like, super locked in to the Dallas Mavericks for the rest of the year with no Kyrie Irving. If Anthony Davis is out, there's very few players that I enjoy watching on this Dallas Mavericks team. No offense to Klay Thompson, but if I'm watching them, it's because I'm enjoying a Max Christie game, or I wanted to watch one of those players specifically. But, like, Lively's out, Grimes is off the team, Gafford's out. Like, I'll tune into Caleb Martin's debut to see how he performs for this team. But man, it is so disappointing because this team fully healthy, I would be probably locked in because it's like that new vibe. Like, I was so locked in to the Anthony Davis debut game against the Rockets, and I haven't really been like, all right, I'm setting everything to the side and I'm clearing my schedule for this Mavericks game. I haven't done that since the Rockets game, and I'm probably going to be multitasking for the rest of the year. The Denver Nuggets, I think it's usually an enjoyable time when I watch them. I feel like they haven't had that many blowouts this year. I mean, I could be wrong, but a lot of their games have been, I mean, I guess a lot of their wins before the All-Star break were kind of blowouts in a way. But I'm watching Nikola Jokic, arguably the best player in the NBA. Maybe they've had more blowouts than I can remember, but They had a fun, entertaining game against the Boston Celtics, even though they did lose. Fun game against the Milwaukee Bucks. I enjoy watching Russ in the two-man game with Jokic. Sometimes it's efficient, sometimes it's not. It's kind of what I think helps my entertainment factor when I'm not a Nuggets fan. So, hey, if Russ is shooting you out of the game, I don't really care. Like, I'm not rooting for the Nuggets. I'm more so just rooting for a good game. And when Russ is on, man, I love watching him. I love watching Julian Strawther and Peyton Watson specifically this year on the defensive end of the floor. Christian Brown has been one of the most improved players this year. Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon got off to maybe disappointing starts, but all of them have kind of come around. And I'm watching Jokic almost lead the NBA in assists as basically a 7-foot center. Yeah, it's an enjoyable time every time I watch them. Detroit Pistons, same thing. I'm usually left like, man, I can't believe the Pistons are this good this year. I took their over. I said that they were going to be better than like the Raptors as a hot take going into the year. They are currently 35-27, and they are the last good team in the Eastern Conference. Man, shout out to Detroit. Shout out to Bickerstaff. Shout out to Cade, man, balling out this year. Cade is so much fun to watch. It also helps that I drafted him in fantasy, and I've loved that so much in like the 5th round. But hey, I also drafted, I think it was Anthony Davis in the 1st and Joel Embiid in the 2nd. Why'd I do that? I don't know. But yeah, the Pistons have been so much fun to watch between Cade, Jalen Duren, like, has been so much better defensively over the last few weeks than he was at the start of the year or last year. And I think that's because of Asar Thompson being back into the full swing of things. And he can really impact the game in so many ways that don't show up in the box score. Malik Beasley has turned into like prime Steph Curry at times. I love watching Ron Holland as a defender. And then I mentioned Malik Beasley, but Jaden Ivey, like when he comes back, this team's going to be even more fun to watch. So I would say it's an enjoyable time. The Golden State Warriors, same thing right now. Actually, I think I'm pretty much locked in with Golden State because of Jimmy Butler and how good they've been playing. Like, if I made this tier list before the deadline, I'm here for a couple guys. I'm here to maybe watch like Steph and maybe one of the young guys or two. But now for Golden State, man, they've been killing it since they got Jimmy Butler. Now, the schedule hasn't been like super tough, but this team could be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference. And Jimmy hasn't even been like that great for Golden State. Like, he's been good. 16 points, 43 from the field, 11 from 3. Like, he's been playing good defense, and I'm glad he's like feeling or he's feeling replenished and refreshed over there, and he wants to win, and he's found his joy for basketball back, and Draymond's out there. But it's really been Steph. Like, over these last few weeks, I've been locked in. Like, that Orlando Magic game was one of the best games of the season. And if we look at Steph, basically since February, like, what did he put up in February this year? In the month of February, Steph put up 30 points on 46, 38, 92 splits. Like, he's 36 years old. He's going to be 37 soon. Yeah, I've been pretty much locked into the Warriors since they acquired Jimmy Butler. Houston, I think I don't mind it. I mean, I think in the beginning of the year, it was up a little bit more. They've been dropping a little bit now. I tuned in, like, I was like, I'm watching them versus the Thunder last night when they had all the injuries, and I saw Reed Shepherd show up as a starter. I'm like, yep, this is the game I'm watching to start off the night. I had that up, and then I had like I had Duke Wake Forest up, and man, Reed Shepherd was great. Cam Whitmore was great. Shout out to N'Faly Dante making some defensive plays. I don't know. They're not a good 3-point shooting team. I'm not saying I'm tuning in for Fred VanVleet or Dylan Brooks of the world. Jalen Green, I kind of know what we're getting at times, and I guess maybe I don't know what I'm getting because it could be anything any night, so maybe that adds like an intriguing factor. I would say just like this year, maybe I'll bump them up, but I've enjoyed watching the Nuggets and Pistons more than the Rockets, but definitely enjoyed the Rockets more than the Hawks and the Bulls. The Pacers, I would say I don't mind it either. Like, the Pacers have had some stinkers this year, but they've been playing good basketball since like their rough start, and honestly, they've been rising up. Like, Halliburton has been so much fun to watch since basically the All-Star break. Siakam's been consistent. I love watching Andrew Nembhard on the defensive end of the floor. Aaron Nesmith has had some good games and some fun moments. I wish there was more like maybe Jarris Walker involved on this team, but I think Halliburton has really bumped them up a little bit. And I definitely enjoy watching the Pacers more than the Hawks and the Bulls. And they're the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. And they've had some fun, entertaining games as of late, I would say. So yeah, the Pacers don't mind it. The Clippers are tough, man. Because if I want to watch a defensive game, that's who I'm tuning into. I don't mind it. I think pre-Kawhi, and I'm just like watching Harden most of the time, I'd probably here for like Harden. There would maybe be like a good Chris Dunn game and like Norman Powell's breakout. But I think I don't mind it because the Clippers are very competitive, which I love. And I really like their defense. And Ty Lue's been great this year coaching this team. Norman Powell's been a breakout guy. Hopefully he can be back healthy soon. And I mean, I didn't really love the Bogdan Bogdanovic. Like, I haven't really loved watching him there so far. But Derrick Jones Jr., like, good asset for this team. Kawhi, Harden, Powell, Zubats. Ben Simmons, it adds just like an intriguing factor. I mean, this doesn't mean like they're a great team. It's just adding to watchability. I still think they fall out of a top 6 spot. They're currently 7th, but yeah, I think the Clippers, at least in my opinion, have been more entertaining than the Hawks and the Bulls. The Lakers, I mean, I'm locked in. I have to be. If this was pre-deadline, maybe don't mind it. I mean, like, it's just because I'm watching LeBron at 40 years old ball out. Like, that's really cool. Maybe that would be enjoyable time. But ever since they got Luka, yeah, I've been locked in. Either it's been a good game or not. Like, the first game against the Jazz, the second game against the Jazz, and then, yeah, they lost to the Hornets, but they had such an entertaining game against the Nuggets. And they've had some really fun games as of late as well against, like, the Clippers. So, yeah, there's not many guys that I enjoy watching on the Lakers outside of, like, maybe their top 5 and, like, Dalton Connect. But JJ Redick has made them play some very appealing basketball this year. And I'm watching Luka Doncic. Like, it doesn't feel real. It feels like every time I'm locked in, it's just like a video game because Luka Doncic is a Laker. It doesn't make any sense. Miami, I don't think it's been super pleasant. Yeah, since they traded away Jimmy Butler. Like, Hero, great. Bam's been better offensively. I think he deserves some credit. But Jovic got hurt. And it's like, if it's not a Khalil Ware game, I'm not really enjoying watching Duncan Robinson and Terry Rozier and maybe even Andrew Wiggins on this team so far. So that's just a personal preference. I think Davion Mitchell has been really good so far since getting traded. But yeah, there's not many guys that I'm really tuned in for. I feel like the Hawks, like, I don't know. Do I enjoy? Maybe I'm here for a couple guys. Like, I'm here for Hero, Bam, and Khalil Ware right now. So I don't know if I'm going to have, like, the not super pleasant tier. We'll see. Memphis, it's an enjoyable time because I don't know who's going to be, like, the leading scorer every night. Well, it could be Bane. It could be Ja. It could be Triple J. I love their rookies and Wells and Edey. They just have a ton of depth on this team. And I think it's been like a new version of Grizzlies basketball. Watching this offense kind of be orchestrated through Jaren Jackson Jr. And I think Desmond Bane, I really enjoy watching Desmond Bane when John Moran is out because he kind of picks up the duties as like the lead initiator and ball handler for this team in the half court. And they've had some brutal losses. Buzzer beater to the Knicks, buzzer beater to the Spurs from OG and Fox, and then a buzzer beater from LeVert last night. It's been crazy, but they've had a lot of enjoyable games this year, I would say. There's a lot of guys that I enjoy watching on the Memphis Grizzlies, and I feel like they can play a different style of basketball, which makes it a little bit refreshing. Milwaukee, I don't know. It's just I don't enjoy watching Kyle Kuzma. I feel like I love watching Giannis and Dame, but after that, it really doesn't run deep. Like, I like watching Andre Jackson. I mean, I don't know if I'm the biggest Bobby Portis fan. I still like watching Brook Lopez at 36. Not really that big of, like, Kevin Porter Jr. It's just really a subjective thing for me. So I think I'm really only here for a couple of guys on the Bucks. Minnesota, they're an enjoyable time. I don't know if I'm locked in every time, but Anthony Edwards is, honestly, he's one of my favorite players to watch right now. So I'm locked into Timberwolves basketball. And I think I bumped them up a tier in a way because, like, being able to watch, like, Jalen Clark when he was healthy and Terrence Shannon Jr. and Rob Dillingham with all the injuries made it a little bit more exciting. And watching Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid kind of carry the load with Randall out. So, yeah, Ed and Anthony Edwards in that game against the Suns was so much fun. Bradley Beal ruined one of the biggest highlights all year. I'm usually locked into Timberwolves basketball, and I feel like them as well, they're usually playing a lot of close games. I don't know if that's just, like, when I'm following them, but yeah. They've had, I think, more close games than not this year. Next up, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. It's tough. I'm probably here for a couple guys, but when Zion's not playing, it's like, I'll watch because, like, I enjoy watching Trey Murphy. But that's it. Like, am I going to get that much out of, like, Karl Makovich, who I don't mind watching? But yeah, I think the Pelicans, just with all their injuries this year, they have been a tough watch. So I think I'm going to put them in not super pleasant because if it's not Zion, I'm not really going to be that locked into them. And they'll probably be up on, like, TV3, like the third screen that I'm most important in. The Knicks, oh God, they might have to go on their own tier because I have a different feeling for the Knicks. Watching the Knicks start games is usually, like, not super pleasant because they can't shoot, they can't play defense. They'll go down by 18 and then they'll maybe come back and make it interesting in the fourth quarter. I'm going to say I don't mind watching the Knicks. I don't know if they've been a big, enjoyable time for me. Yeah, I'll throw them in there. I'm a Knicks fan. I do get a little bit more excitement out of watching the Knicks than any other team. Like, I stayed up, what was it, Friday night they beat the Grizzlies, and I'm like, thank God, like, just staying up, watching that game, and OG, it's the game winner. I'm like, oh, man, all right. I feel like I'm putting all my energy in them actually winning, but man, that Celtics loss, that Cavs loss, like I turned off the Cavs game at halftime. I'm like, I'm watching something else. And then Boston, I wasn't watching in the first quarter. I'm tuned into the third. They sucked me back in, and then they stink in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks have just really been a roller coaster of emotions this year. But I guess more times than not, it's enjoyable. Like they're 40-20, and they're winning more than half their games. So yeah, Thunder, I would say. Do I think the Thunder, like, I'm locked in as much? Yeah, like, I'm enjoying the Shea MVP season. I'm enjoying, like, Chet now that he's healthy. If Chet was hurt, maybe, I don't know if I would drop them a tier, but I'm enjoying Aaron Wiggins. I wish AJ Mitchell never got hurt. But yeah, I would say I actually enjoy from an entertainment, like, right now, tuning into the Warriors and the Lakers, just because they're kind of new with Jimmy and Luka. But I think Ant is, like, on par with Shea in terms of an entertainment factor. I don't even... The Magic might have to be in their own tier. I think they're not super pleasant because Paolo and Franz are back. So I am like not multitasking and I'm locked in, but man, they can't shoot the basketball. They can't score the basketball at times. And 29-33. I mean, Franz has done his job this year. They had some, like this period where Franz and Paolo were both out. They were like unwatchable for me outside of like watching a few guys. I just wish Anthony Black maybe took that step here in year two. Tristan De Silva has shown some moments this year. Goga's been great. And Franz, when he's been healthy, is good. And even they're getting some good production out of Cole Anthony at times. Philadelphia, I'm probably multitasking. If McCain was playing right now, they'd probably be up for like, I don't mind it. But I'm watching Quentin Grimes, I'm watching Tyrese Maxey, and Justin Edwards. That's it. It's really three guys that I really care about on this team right now. Like, I'm not getting much watching this version of Kelly Oubre and Andre Drummond and just some of the guys on the Sixers team. So, yeah, I'm probably multitasking watching them. Phoenix, I don't know, though. I actually don't mind watching the Suns because, like, Beal, Booker, and KD have been, like, pretty good, at least in their own individual aspects. Now, the team dynamic hasn't been great. They've had some close games. They've had some bad losses. And I guess it's just, like, I'm watching them and I'm like, can they really lose again? Because of how expensive this team is. So I actually come away not minding watching the Suns. I think it's just like more of not a team success factor. And I guess technically the opposite. Yeah, the Blazers right now, this version of them, I've had such an enjoyable time. But yeah, no, ever since like, I guess January 19th, over the last like month and a half, the Blazers have been a lot of fun. And that Cavs game honestly may have been one of my favorite games this year. They did lose, unfortunately, in overtime, but like Denny had a great game. Sharp and Scoot have been better over the last few weeks. And Tumani Kamara, I think, was just named the Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. So the Blazers with Klingon, yeah, they're an enjoyable time. It's kind of like them in Detroit, just like breath of fresh air this season. I think for Sacramento, honestly, I'm really here for a couple guys. I thought I'd be a little bit more excited to watch them. Sabonis just got hurt. Levine's been good as of late, but it's like watching Levine and DeRozan, I'm like, all right, I'm getting deja vu here. I mean, Devin Carter hasn't been great since coming back from that injury. And Keegan Murray, I think he has his games, he has his moments, but no more De'Aaron Fox on this team. I'm enjoying watching Malik Monk facilitate, not as much maybe shoot the ball right now. I would say I'm really just here for a couple guys. San Antonio, now that Wemby is out for the year, I think same thing. I'm here for a couple guys. I'm here to watch Fox, Chris Paul, and Stephon Castle. I think so far as of late, like Vassell and Sohan, they've just kind of been hit or miss for me. But I would say for the Spurs, I'm here for a couple guys. Raptors, I think they're not, I don't know. Like now that they're kind of healthy again, I actually don't mind watching the Raptors. Like there's a lot of guys that I do enjoy watching. Either like if it's Scotty, if it's RJ, if it's Quickly, like depending on the health of these guys. I think if Ingram came back, I probably would have thrown it in enjoyable time. But for now, I don't mind it. I mean, most of their games, like they're not terrible blowouts, but they're not great. I just want to see this team fully healthy. But you know what? I think, going to drop them. I'm here for a couple guys. The Jazz, I don't mind watching their young core. They don't have like a blue chipper, but like Isaiah Collier has been fun. Filipowski, Sensabaugh have been fun. I would say I'm here for a couple guys as well. And then the Washington Wizards, it's not been super pleasant because sometimes if like Bilal, Sar, and Bub are having bad shooting nights, I'm not really enjoying watching like if it's going to be Marcus Smart, or if it's going to be, I guess, one of their veterans. Like they're 11-49, which is just kind of insane. I wish their young core was, I don't know, a little bit better this year, but I think Sar and Bub, you like where they're heading. And it's like, if I'm watching Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton on the Wizards, am I really getting anything out of that? But shout out to Justin Champagnie. So that is what I'm going to go with. Remember, this is just like my subjective point of view. You can let me know what you would maybe have as like a team that's surprising you in terms of entertainment this year, or maybe a team you're not really locked in as much. But yeah, I would say like I'm harsh on the Mavericks. I mean, like, if the Sixers had Embiid and Paul George, they'd be higher. If the Mavericks had AD and Kyrie, they'd be higher. Hornets, if they had Miller and were maybe a little bit more competitive, they'd be higher. And the Nets, I don't know. I think the Nets were always not going to be the most appealing and sexy roster this year. I mean, the Magic can't shoot. The Wizards young core is just a little inconsistent right now. And the Pelicans have had their injuries. But I would say, yeah, the teams I enjoy the most this year have been the Cavs, Celtics, Warriors, and Lakers are kind of new to this. The Timberwolves and the Thunder. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this video idea. I guess you could agree, you could disagree, but it's all subjective at the end of the day. If you did enjoy on YouTube, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you were not. And if you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I'd appreciate a rating and review. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.